Hey folks, welcome to EVE Online and Major Freak. So let's get some music up here. Appropriate. This is an asteroid belt, what it typically looks like currently, with high definition graphics. And this has been the way it looked since release. And I'll bring up this video right here. Lower graphics, and this is what it looks like when people haven't mined it out. All right, and the largest roid is size 26 right here, right? And it's each belt looks a little bit different, but mostly it's, see that crescent here? It could be, it's just aligned to this, but at a random, there's no rhyme or reason to it. There's no planet, there's no sun, there's no anything. Alignment is just very arbitrary, and it's always very gross. But this is, give me a sec. That's the old, that's the temporarily fixed way it looked. It looked awesome, and as you can see, the largest roid is 26 kilometers. It's right there. So they just reverted it. But for a while, 2 years ago, in November 11th, whoosh, it looked like that. Now, the closest roid to me when I warped in was 11 kilometers, right? The distortion is simply because where the asteroid is on the grid is determined by the size of it. If it's small, it'll revert to the crescent. But as the bigger it gets, the more it'll move away from that crescent shape and form a distinct look to each belt, because each belt is a tiny little bit different in looks and composition, size, and everything with the little crescent. But if you explode this is what it looks like when you explode the size by 10. So it was 33 kilometers. Currently, it would be 3.3 kilometers. So they just ridiculously exploded the size of the roids, and people complained the hell out of it. When you were close mining the asteroid, it did seem a bit odd. You were bumping into it a lot, especially if you did hit location and warped to it, you'd get ejected really far from it. But the point is, this is the way it looked like if you exploded the roids 10 times. Think what would happen if they exploded, if they increased the size of the roids by, say, 3 or 4 times. Or just they started to, play with it. Say, okay, what's it? Are people having still problems, right? But if you're a moron and if you bookmark an asteroid and you warp to it, you're going to be right at the center of its mass. That's the way the warping mechanics had worked since forever, right? So you're going to bounce regardless, right? So beyond that, I think it's really cool. I think it's awesome that they did this. It was too much. It was too much. They really needed to tone it down, but it looked awesome. The ice belts looked pretty funny too, but yeah, they just reverted it. They didn't go, we love the aesthetics, it looks really good, let's tone it down by half, let's do 5 times and see what it looks like then. People will always complain, right? The fact that you would bounce off the roid happened in the beginning. If you bookmark currently an asteroid and it's a tiny bit big, you're gonna bounce. We all learned that early on. But yeah, CCP took the wrong trolls to heart A typical troll to heart, should I say? Yeah, I Freudian slip there. I totally believe they think we're all trolls, right? I think they get their representation of the community from looking at the forums, which is just a cesspool. So it's like, yeah. But yeah, there you go. That was the old look to it, and I'll play this so you get a feel for it. Cool, huh? Yeah, yeah, yeah. It looks awesome, doesn't it? It's ridiculous in the sense that when you're mining up close to it, it feels really comical. We could get used to it, but at the same time, it was a bit ridiculous. It looked awesome, but at the same time, it was like, could we just tone it down a little bit? You know, it looks great, but could we, you increase the size, the volumes of the roids by twice. Could we do it like 4 times? Let's see. Could we experiment here? Could we see what it's like? Could we do anything but 10 times the size? It just seems so, it was like, here I go down and it was, so I'll plug it in, and it typically, if you scanned Belt 9.1 today, if nobody's mined it, you'd get about half that exactly. So yeah, this was it was really cool what they did to show us what, like, it, to me it just felt like a troll by CCP when they reverted it. It was like, just like when they sometimes will switch the locations of these, like they swapped the locations one time, and it was like, why can't we do that, right? It was like, look what we can do, look what we can do, and it's like, and it's great, that's awesome, but why did you revert it, So it was pretty ridiculous. Yeah, the main complaint was that people were bouncing off the roids when they warped in, but yeah, you'll do that anytime. If I bookmark this spot, right? This is what they were complaining about. It was ridiculous. Let's warp to planet 9. Yeah, it was utterly bollocks. Yeah, this is what happens when you warp to your own bookmark. When you bookmark a roid, you're going to bounce. And apparently that was their excuse. That's what everybody's complaining about that. And it's like, that's what you do since release. That's what happens when you bookmark a roid since release and you warp to it, and it's kind of bigger than normal. You're gonna bounce. Yeah. See, they don't really take into account the wow, right? But yeah, that's what people were complaining about. My bots are just flying everywhere. So yeah. Anyways, I thought you'd find that interesting, just to get an idea of why it looks this way. Why do some belts look ridiculously crescent-like, right?